Hi, and welcome to the SuccessPaTh show, where Christian business owners share their tips for success to show you how to succeed more effectively with your kingdom goals. I'm your host, Violet Dietrich, and my guest today is Dena Billups. And Dena is a certified coach, trainer, trauma healing facilitator, and author of the book Naked Stripping to the Core in 40 Days. Dena is passionate about developing leaders and has coined the phrase A.R.T, activate right thinking, as her mission to facilitate training on sexual abuse, substance use disorders, and human trafficking. Dena is currently working on publishing a new life coaching curriculum for leaders who want to understand how to coach and support people with adverse experiences. When Dena's not serving others, she's spending valuable time with family. Her children, Messiah, Diana, son-in-law Trokan Pope, and her husband, Jason, who are the joy of her journey. Welcome, Dena.
Well, I want to thank you, Violet. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here today and to be in front of your audience. And I'm just really excited about sharing with your audience all of the things you just mentioned.
So awesome. And I just love that your family is a joy of your life. Did I pronounce their names correctly?
You did. Actually, you did a great job. Yes.
Awesome. So Messiah, that sounds like a Hebrew name and a Bible name. How long have you known Jesus? How long have you had a relationship with the Lord?
That's always a question that I always ponder, because I always feel like people have these dates when they can say, I got saved at this time. But I remember as a little girl, about the age of my son now, maybe 6 years old, when my grandmother first introduced me to Christ. And she would tell me things like, all you have to do is pray. Now, of course, I wasn't mature in understanding who Christ was, but I do believe that has had an impact on my life, because she taught me just how in a child's mind to understand Jesus. And then, I can probably tell you my journey, how I drifted off. But I think having that foundation of my grandmother explaining to me who Christ was, and if she said it so simple, if you ever need help, she said, you go in the closet and you call on Jesus. And I, as a kid, literally went in the closet to call on Jesus. So I think God honors those things at an early age.
For sure. And I love that. Faith like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for grandmothers that instill in us those godly values and just guide us from a very young age. And Dena, you work with, these topics here: sexual abuse, substance abuse disorders, human trafficking. You support people with adverse experiences, and usually people that help people with those topics went through some hard times. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey of how you got here and how you got to doing what you do?
Absolutely. It's funny. I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, I really don't need any notes to really tell my journey. Because, I think that our journeys are a process and still being developed daily. But when I really started to mature is really trying to understand and learn more about myself when I became a single parent. I became a single parent at the age of 19. And that is when I really started to want to know more. And being a single parent, trying to figure out how to do motherhood without, having a spouse in the home. It was a lot of hardship. But I was very focused. I wanted to, continue my education. I wanted to, not be what people considered a statistic. What the statistics said about being a single mom, an African American woman as a single mom. I'm still developing myself because, the research says that the brain isn't developed until you're 25 years old. So, you have all these competing needs, and about, your own independence, who you are, and then you're trying to be a mom at the same time. So that was a lot of my struggle. But what I love about God is that He can take your struggles and really turn them around. I call it a flip.
Amen.
He can flip the script.
Amen. I love that. Flip the script.
He can flip the script.
And
And
Dena,
he did that very early.
oh, that's awesome. And Dena, we have to ask, what is Naked about? What is this art, activate right thinking that you love to
Mhm.
share?
Sure. So Naked, as you see behind me, is the cover of my book. And Naked is stripping to the core in 40 days. And what I'd like to do and have done is I take women through a journey, not just women, men also, but through a journey of 40 days of contemplative activities. And those activities include the art of perception. And so you really use this book as a companion. So you're writing your thoughts and your art. And when I say art, because I illustrated the cover of the book, as an artist and as an author, I have been able to help people look at what I like to say is the art of perception, or, looking at things in a creative way and really being able to doodle your thoughts, being able to have, using the book as more of a companion, but as a way to go through your journey of 40 days. And we know 40 is a very significant number in the Bible. 40 is usually a time of transition, and there's a time of change. So I help people go through these contemplative activities, but through a process of change. And as we know, or as research has says, even in a lot of addiction models, that there's an addiction model by Prochaska de Clemente called the process of change. And usually in change, there's somewhat of relapse. But we look at some of the indicators of well, what happened, what may have happened, what are some of the things that caused you to go back. So I like to think that, all of us are in some type of recovery because we've come out of sin. As a Christian, you've come out of something, you've recovered from something. And so this really helps you, art really helps you to activate right thinking. And that's a concept that I've coined in all of the work that I do in coaching and training. How do we help people to activate right thinking, especially in a climate like today when there are so many things that boggle our thoughts, so many stressors. We're in a pandemic. So how do you, with 6,000, the research says there, we have 6,000 thoughts a day. So how do you manage all of those thoughts?
Yes, and art, activate right thinking, because you use the acronym, right? ART,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it easy to remember. How does that help people reach their goals and their dreams?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question, because most of the people that come to me because they have a desire to reach their goals. They have a desire to find purpose. We're living in a world where it's so important to have identity, to know who you are, and it's hard to know who you are unless you get to the core of who you're created to be. And so, how activate right thinking is something that is not very new. It is actually a biblical principle. The Bible tells us to renew our minds daily, to renew our thoughts. So, activate right thinking helps us to examine and process some of the thoughts that we had. We do that. So, we do that in a way by visualization. It's intelligent. Another way of having creativity is having another level of intelligence is by looking at something. We're always watching something. We're always looking at pictures. We're always looking at images. But if you can look at and examine this picture even behind me, what is she thinking? What's happening with her? What's going on? Most people will tell you who they think she is, you know, what her life is like just by the picture. Most of us are looking at that picture from our own perception. Some people have said, looks like she has broccoli, eggs, and spaghetti.
Yeah.
It depends who's looking at the picture. Some people have said, it looks like a tree with wood. You know, some people say, oh, she looks like she's praying. Some people say, oh, it looks like she's humble. Like, so depending where the person is, they perceive a concept or they perceive an idea or a notion, and they create their own narrative. Your narrative and your story can only be told by your own truth. And how you tell that truth is by simply examining your thoughts, which I like to say is art, which is activate right thinking. So that's kind of where I like to help people look at where they are to where they need to go.
Yes, and that this is a beautiful, I believe it's a God download that could help a lot of people. And I know that it has helped a lot of people with what you do. And Dena, I know we talked earlier before the episode, and we talked about, how you have reached this level because you're a ICF coach, you're a trauma facilitator, you have all these degrees and certifications. And you've told me that relationships has helped you to reach where you are today. How have relationships helped you?
Yeah, relationships are so important. One of the things that I find most important is, something I like to say is PEG. Partnering, exploring, and guiding people. And I've had some really special people in my life that have partnered with me, explored, with me, and guided me to the places I wanted to go. And those people have come alongside of me. And so in coaching, that's the thing, you're partnering with someone, you're learning how to control the fixer in yourself and really pull out what's in someone else. And you have to be able to have the mind frame or the art to activate right thinking to be able to do that. People have done that for me in my life. I have people I can think of like who saw something different in me and said, you know what, I see her past where she is, or I see her past being just a single mom, but I see her, having a full life and looking at me from a whole perspective and having, different way of looking at my life and how they project it or see it and helping me to get there. So relationships have been very key. Relationships in family, relationships in church, relationships, work relationships, really respecting my leaders that I have looked up to, or I've said, those are some things I want to do and those are some things I don't want to do. But communicating and having community has been important.
So art, if I'm hearing you correctly, is not just, for yourself, but it's also helps you in different areas of life, like your business, like you said right now, relationships. So learning about this methodology, the activate right thinking that you came up with, can really help you in different areas of life. And we're going to talk about something awesome that Dena is going to offer. It's a workshop so that you can learn more about this. But before we start talking about that, I'm really curious about having a naked business. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's really, really funny that you would say. Naked is really about authenticity, and I think when we think about our goals and, now we're in a time every January, it's January 2022. It's like, oh, what is my new goal? This is what I want to do. And I always say, how can you go somewhere if you don't really identify where you are right in the moment and become and are truthful about that. And one of the acronyms that I talk about a lot, even in my book, is truth, which is thinking renewed under the Holy Spirit. So you have to have this truth, thinking renewed under the Holy Spirit, activate right thinking. Those are all concepts that I constantly use in coaching, in training. Like, what is the truth, and how do we examine the truth, and how do we use those? How do we go from here to there, and how do we, go through the ladder of inference, which means like, how do we access, okay, this is what I see, this is where I want to go. What does that really mean, and what does that really look like? And so in the ideas that I'm speaking about and of art or activating right thinking or getting naked, it is a vulnerable place. When we talk about naked and you talk about being vulnerable, and you're talking about stripping, I always tell people this, no one can strip you from where you are, because then that would be a violation. Yeah. Naked is something that you want to do for yourself. Right. And so there's no judgment. If you think about being naked, the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to see my flaws and all of my unwanted love handles or what have you. But when you talk about naked and you talk about even spiritually being naked, it's like, I want to be in a place in front of God or in front of people where I feel safe. Yeah. And people can partner with me, explore with me, and guide me along the way.
Wow, I love that. You're touching upon a lot of things that could really help people right now, because I know I struggled with a lot of perfectionism in the past, and hey, I want to look a certain way, or, some people put on airs and then they pretend that, and I hosted a Christian suicide prevention summit that I told you about, in 2019. And some of the pastors were telling me that they got tired of putting on like this persona that wasn't them. So I love this idea about stripping back and being yourself, being vulnerable, being authentic is what I hear. And for your business, I know that you explained to me that it was staying true to your mission, because sometimes you can adopt other people's ideas, opinions. I know this one lady that I met, she said that she wanted to start a restaurant business, and she got an investor to, she got an investor excited in her vision of the restaurant. But then she let all these people, say, you should do it like that, you should do it like this. So her mission changed, her vision changed. The investor said, I'm out, and the restaurant closed.
Wow.
This is what I love about your idea, Dena, is that this is a God idea, and God gave you a vision to do it a certain way. But if you steer from the way that God directed you, if you don't stay true to the mission, to, the nakedness of the business, the stripping down of it to the core of the vision and mission, then, it might just not go like you expected. And for this show, this is one of the goals that we have, is for people to actually follow God in their kingdom goals and to continue on. And one of the things that may be a stumbling block is not staying true to mission. So I appreciate that you're bringing this to light. And Dena, you are so gracious and generous that you are going to be offering a workshop so that people can learn more about art, activate right thinking. Can you tell us about this workshop?
Sure. So a part of and I'm so glad you brought up like the vision and the mission, because it is our goal always to promote leadership expansion and educate on growth principles for, those communities or those people who work with vulnerable communities. So I have a coaching institute, but my coaching institute is really particularly for people who are interested in working with vulnerable communities. And so we want to empower leaders to do that have been called to vulnerable communities, rather you're a minister, rather you're a person who just likes to help, or someone who is, in an executive position. We have all levels of people who join, our program, but we're offering something for free so you can have a taste of what we offer in our coaching program. And so, because our mission really is to eradicate poverty mindsets and, and really look at those limiting belief systems. And so this workshop gives you a glimpse. It's like a taste. It's like eating a piece of cake. It's so good, of what activate right thinking is, and you'll get an idea of what some of the coaching principles are, and how we've had plenty of people who've graduated from our programs, even during the pandemic, that are now launching their own visions and businesses, and and doing those things, and we're mentoring them in that process. But we are allowing people to take our it's a 2-hour course that they can, do live with me, and some of my other facilitators will be there. And I'm sorry, it's not 2 hours, it's actually 3 hours, where they will get an idea of, it's a free workshop where they can, learn some of the concepts. And normally this is offered in my coaching program, but they'll get a glimpse of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I love that. It's a whole 3 hours of learning how to activate right thinking, and also how you can help others through these strategies. So I love that you're offering this, and we'll include the link down in the description when we release this episode. So make sure to check that out. And also, Dena, where can people follow you? Where are you the most on social media?
That's good. Dena McMillan Billups. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Dena McMillan Billups. And then they can also reach me at, look at our website, www.denabillups.com. And there are a host of services and workshops and trainings that, they'll be able to access if they go on the website or reach me on Art of Training and Development Facebook. And so we'll be able to engage our audience there.
I love that. And Dena, one last thing. Like I was saying earlier, some of our believer friends, some of the people, even in the church, or just, Christians out there that have been trying to get through overcoming hurdles, and they put in all this money in their business, and they're like, God, I can't figure this out. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they're being tempted by former addictions, like you said, that that I forgot what the term was, the relapse, right?
Yes.
That maybe they're in that relapse mode and they need immediate help now, asking God for an answer. So what would you tell those people to encourage them?
What I would say is, you mentioned something earlier about understanding your vision and your mission. And a lot of times when we get stuck is because we don't understand. We get stuck because we either have gone through this process of change, but we've drifted off. And so it's coming back and asking, where am I now, and where do I need to go, and who can help me get there? And what I love even about our program, we have a host of coaches that can offer that support, and not just that. We also have articles and different things to help activate the right thinking and help get you back on track, and different tools. But I would say first, start with that place of asking the right questions. Where am I now, and where do I want to go? And I believe that God wants to give you the answers. He wants to give you the answers because the answers are already in us. And that's why we need to strip to our core. That's why we need to go through the journey of finding out where it is that I'm supposed to be and where I need to go.
Yes, well said. Thank you so much. And I know that I follow Joseph Prince. He's a pastor in Singapore, and he says, if you believe right, you will live right. So that's why I also love your mission about activating right thinking.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dena, for being here. And to the viewer, make sure to check out Dena. We're going to put all of her links down in the description below so that you can follow her, see what she's up to. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to her or you can reach out to me. And make sure to share this episode with your friends so that we can bring you more content like this in the future. We appreciate you being here. We love you, and we'll see you next time. God bless.
God bless. Thank you.